everyone, I'm Don Pratt, host of a show here on Rogers TV that gives you a perspective of police in your community. Welcome to Policing York Region. Today we've got the opportunity of sitting down with Constable Zach Goldman from the York Regional Police Marine Unit, and we're going to talk a little bit about cold water, ice water, all the things we need to do out there in the wintertime to keep us safe.
Absolutely. Thanks
Zach, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Yeah, wintertime is a great time, especially in this area, to get out on Lake Simcoe.
Absolutely.
Get involved in ice fishing and various other sports out on the ice, but just remembering that when you are out on the ice, you're actually out on the water. You're on a...
Yeah, that's what we were talking about before, right? You're not just out on the ice.
That's right.
You're out on the water that has a frozen surface.
That's right. And that can be deceiving at times, especially when it's covered with snow.
Yes.
Gives that illusion of like a safe environment to operate on, which it can be, but certain precautions need to be taken. So prior to heading out on the ice to enjoy these activities, making a plan, where you're going to go, how long you're going to be out there, notifying somebody that's remaining on shore.
Right.
So there's an expectation where they're going to be, when they're going to be off the ice, what to do in the event.
So if you said that you're going to be home for dinner,
and you're not,
it's 8 o'clock and you're not.
That's right.
Somebody has an idea at least of where you might be.
That's right. In the event that you get lost out on the ice or something unfortunate happens, it also gives police a starting point to look for you when we're conducting a search out on the ice. Yeah,
it's absolutely. I mean, you know, if you are put in the position of trying to find somebody, obviously time could be of the essence.
Absolutely.
Giving somebody, giving the police a heads up on, you know, this is the direction they went.
Yep. So
it certainly makes sense.
One of the important things to have with you when you venture out on the ice, number one is going to be flotation.
Yes.
So keeping that in mind, that when you're out on the ice, you are on that frozen body of water. Ice is very inconsistent, unpredictable. There's times where you have a good idea of where it's going to be safe and where it's not going to be safe, but there's no guarantees.
No.
So that insurance policy of having some flotation is key.
Well, one thing that that gets mentioned a lot at York Regional Police through the winter months, if somebody were to ask you, is the ice safe?
That's right. No ice is considered safe ice.
Right.
And the reason for that could be, if we were sitting out on the lake right now doing some ice fishing, and we've got good clear ice underneath us, it's solid, and we've taken the necessary precautions, we've asked around, we spoke to ice hut operators and locals, or we have some local knowledge before we head out.
Sure.
It could be very safe where we are, and 20 feet away, for various different reasons, that ice may not be safe.
Yes, and there are a lot of reasons that that ice could be inconsistent. I mean, it could be the depth of the water. It could be just the sheer area of the water, you know, where some areas are more protected from environment than others.
That's right.
Current. And any number of things that we can't even see.
That's right. When you're out on the lake, we also deal with pressure cracks and ice expansion and contraction.
Yes.
That can play a key in on whether an area that you traveled on in the morning was safe, but on your route home, it may not be safe. It could have opened up. As well, like you said, with currents and that, you have a few inches worth of ice in one spot and a few feet worth of ice in another spot. You add a blanket of snow on top of that, and it all looks like it's consistent.
I suppose it does, right? You get a fresh layer of snow. One area doesn't look different than another. So, and then you mentioned the ice hut operators. I guess they're probably a good avenue to go as far as if you know I'm wanting to take my family out ice fishing next week.
Absolutely. So
give them a call.
It's a great idea. They're aware of the areas where they set up. They do the checks. They know year in and out how that ice comes and goes, and they're keeping tabs on it. So it is part of your responsibility before you head out, just to ask the questions. But again, coming back to flotation.
Yes.
Flotation is going to be your number one thing before you head out.
Right.
And not just flotation, there's the risks of hypothermia when you're out in the winter. So you could be looking at a chronic hypothermia for not dressing for the weather. So obviously we encourage you to dress appropriately for the weather that you're dealing with. They have survival suits and floater suits, so we highly recommend you wear a floater suit. So that would consist of pants with some thermal value and a floater jacket, same thing with thermal value, and some ice picks.
Okay, so I just want to clarify that. When you say a floater suit, I personally don't have one. I actually don't venture out on the ice. So,
Right.
it's just not something I have. I have a PFD for when I'm out in the canoe in the summer. So I take this is a different product?
Yeah, so this is a PFD, a personal flotation device.
Yes.
But it's incorporated into, and there's various different brands and manufacturers, but it's incorporated into essentially like looks like a snowmobile suit, but it has...
So the jacket you're wearing is actually a flotation device?
Yes, exactly. So, and then pairing that with ice picks. So
Ice picks.
Ice picks. They lock together and they have 2 sharp picks on them.
Okay.
On a lanyard that goes around your neck. Nobody's planning on going into the water.
Of course not.
So when it does happen, having those ice picks available to...
Okay, this is helping you actually get out of the water.
Exactly.
Bare hands or gloved hands on ice don't work very well.
No, that's for sure. So when we're dealing with the possibility of going through the ice and ending up in the water, your biggest risk there, drowning and hypothermia. We refer to something that's called the 1-10-1 principle.
1-10-1.
1-10-1. So essentially, when you break through the ice and you end up in the water, you enter into a phase called cold shock.
Yeah.
So obviously, that water is very cold, 4 degrees or less. There's a natural tendency when you hit that cold water to gasp.
Yes.
You're drawing in a very deep, quick breath. It's involuntary. If you don't have that flotation on, and your head's not above water and your airway's not clear, and you breathe in that water, the chances of drowning are...
They just increase significantly.
Significantly. So then you have about 1 minute. You've got your flotation on, you've fallen through the ice, you're in the water. Reduce the panic. Get your breathing under control.
Right.
When you're hyperventilating, your breath's like 600 to 1,000% what your resting respiratory rate is.
Of course.
So you want to get that under control. Acclimate to the water a little bit, and then think of a plan to get out. Then you have about 10 minutes. 1-10. So the 10 is 10 minutes of meaningful movement where you're going to try and self-rescue yourself.
Yes.
And that's the point. You're wearing your flotation. It's keeping you buoyant. You get up to the ice edge. You're going to want to exit the way that you came in because you knew that the ice leading up to where you broke through was solid. The ice past that is an unknown. So you're going to want to come out the way you came in. The ice picks, you can stab those into the surface of the ice and pull. And what you want to do is pull yourself up onto that ice ledge and then roll away from the hole that you went in towards safety.
Right.
So you have about 10 minutes before you're going to lose meaningful movement of your hands and your limbs. If you're unable to self-rescue yourself, you have the last one, you're looking about an hour of where you're going to remain conscious.
Okay. So you're out of the water now?
Well, once you're out of the water, you try and get yourself to a place of safety. Maybe there's somebody that has seen the incident and they're rendering assistance. You've been in the water for some time, you are going to be experiencing some hypothermia for sure. Getting yourself looked at, maybe it's time to venture to the hospital, depending on how long you've been in there. Otherwise, you're going to want to you're going to remove all the wet clothing and start adding gentle heat. The thing with hypothermia is you don't want to warm up too quickly. That misinformation that you want to rub the skin and generate heat, you don't want to do stuff like that. So unfortunately, if you're not able to get out within that 10 minutes, and now you're rendered unable to self-rescue yourself, you still have about an hour before, due to hypothermia, you're going to become unconscious.
Right.
And again, so just because you've become unconscious doesn't mean that your survivability is gone.
No.
So you're calling for help. You're now getting to the point that you're in and out of consciousness. That flotation's key right there. Without that flotation, drowning's imminent.
Yes. With
With that flotation, there's still a chance of survivability.
So that bit of pre-planning wearing the flotation could have been the difference in saving your life.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And so you mentioned make a plan, let people know, let somebody at your house or otherwise know, where you're going, what you're doing.
Yep.
It may be better to go out in pairs or in groups.
Absolutely.
Right.
Venturing out solo is never a good idea. People do it sometimes, at the very least notifying somebody, but going out with at least one other person that is able to assist you. Yeah. So if you are that other person and the person that you're out with has ended up in the ice, has broken through and they're in the water, you need to just slow down what you're doing as well.
Yeah, you're going to go into a panic state as well, right?
Yeah, you need to take that beginning period to remain calm.
Yeah.
And get your panic under control. And then you want to encourage that person to self-rescue themselves. You don't want to put yourself at risk if they're able to self-rescue themselves and get them out.
Right.
We don't need two people.
No, okay.
In.
Yeah.
And then some pre-planning with throw lines or some type of device that you can render assistance without getting right up to the hole.
Right. Right. Yeah, I guess you don't want to get up to the hole. Now you've created an even bigger problem, right?
That's right.
Right. Okay. Well, we're going to come right back with some more messages on ice safety, folks. We'll be right back. Everyone, we're going to continue our conversation with Constable Zach Goldman, and we're talking ice and cold water safety. You've already given us a lot of tips on, what if you are that guy that falls through the ice and how to get out. And,
That's right.
And make a plan. Have people on shore know where you are.
That's right. So a couple things. Before you go out, having a cell phone means a communication back to land.
Yes.
Is key. If you have a waterproof phone, and if you don't have a waterproof phone, putting it in a Ziploc bag and sealing it up.
Easy.
Often you can still access your touch screen without even taking it out of the bag. Right. If you find that you've broken through, you've gotten yourself out, but you can't get to shore, that can be the ticket for us locating you if we're searching for you. And just notifying somebody that there is an emergency. That's important as well.
Absolutely.
Dressing for the water and not just the weather.
Yes.
So you want to dress when you're going out, even fall boating or heading out in the wintertime, whether you're snowmobiling, ATVing, ice fishing. Stay away from things like cottons.
Okay.
Cotton material.
I'd never actually heard that.
It absorbs moisture, retains moisture, and it will rob your body of heat.
Okay.
If you're looking at various different wicking materials and fabrics, a lot of synthetics, and layering up. So you do find that you've ended up in the water and now you're out, you're dressed in a way with if you have a waterproof outer shell, maybe you've limited a lot of the heat loss and penetration of water that's stealing your heat. So the difference between becoming hypothermic in the air and hypothermic in the water, it's much more rapid in the water. So water conducts heat about 25 to 30 times more than air. Okay. So, and depending on currents, can be even higher.
Right. No, I didn't know that.
Yes. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah.
So, okay. So we're talking about dressing warm. Well, not just dressing warm, dressing properly.
That's right.
Right. I guess it's educational for me too. I'm really not much of a winter enthusiast in getting out onto the ice. So it's there's a lot of this information that I wouldn't have had either.
Right.
But it does make sense. I kind of like how we brought it in right in the beginning that you're not just going out on the ice. You're actually going out on the water.
That's right.
Be prepared for the water because the ice is just between you.
Exactly. You've got all that open water underneath that layer of ice and.
Yeah. And there's many reasons that people end up out on the ice. I'm always going to pick on Lake Simcoe because it's in my backyard.
Yes.
I see it all the time. snowmobilers. Not sure what they're called. The big kites. They're
Kite boarders.
Kite boarders.
That's right.
ATVs.
ATVs, ice fishing. Lake Simcoe's an ice fishing capital in North America.
It's huge.
We get people from our own community and then all across Canada
Right.
and throughout the States coming in.
Our population can reach much higher levels when the ice is frozen
right.
solid for ice fishing.
Right.
So some of the tips that we could share then with, you were talking about the dressing, but there's snowmobile safety, ATV safety.
Absolutely. So aside from flotation when you're going out, ensuring that snowmobile or your ATV is in good repair. You've got it fully fueled, batteries charged up on it. That it's operating in a way that when it takes you all the way out, it can take you in.
I suppose running out of gas out on a trail or out on a lake, it has stronger challenges than perhaps running out of gas on the side of the road.
That's right.
CAA is not going to come out and get you.
That's right. Having some type of GPS capabilities is pretty
Back
important.
to the cell phone.
A cell phone, yes, absolutely. It's your communication. It can give a location for us if we're looking for you, but it can also assist you in getting back to shore. It's really easy to get spun around when a snowstorm hits, and you lose sense of direction. And if you're continuing in the wrong direction and your snowmobile breaks down or your ATV breaks down, or you end up going from a place of safety into an area where the ice is questionable, but you're not aware of it because you don't know where you're going. So,
well, and you were talking about sense of direction. I can tell you, like I've had the opportunity of going out with the York Regional Police Marine Unit in the summer months.
Yes.
And they pulled it with me. Spun me around a few times, and now where are you? Where's north? Where's south? I haven't got a clue.
Yeah, it's really easy to lose it.
And I know the area. I'm very comfortable with the area. But just those first few minutes, I can only imagine if you were in a panic state.
That's right.
And now, and there's the other element. If you're dealing with winter, it could be snowing. It could be a snowstorm.
Absolutely.
Even less visibility.
That's right. And speaking of visibility, especially during nighttime operations, lots of hazards out on the ice.
Yes.
Other snowmobilers or ATVs,
Okay.
ice huts, pressure cracks. These are things that you want to avoid. And one of the things that people tend to do at times is overrun their headlights.
I'm not sure what that term means.
So you can see only a certain distance with your headlight.
Yes.
Your speed needs to correlate to the distance that you can actually
Overrun your headlights.
see what obstruction or hazard there may be and do something to avoid it.
Right.
If you're traveling too fast, by the time you see the hazard and you can't stop, then
It's too late.
It's too late.
You could have hit the pressure crack or
That's right.
broken down
or into
snowmobile
open water, or so operating in a reasonable manner and just ensuring that you can see where you're going and you're operating safely for yourself and everybody else around you.
And people need to remember that with whether it's ATVs, snowmobiles, what other mechanical device you might be using in the winter months, there's still rules.
That's right. There's absolutely rules. So on a snowmobile, you need to be licensed to operate that snowmobile, either your driver's license or a motorized snow vehicle license. You need to have your
There is a separate course that somebody can take just to get a snowmobile license, right?
That's correct, yeah.
Right.
And then you need your permit, you need to have insurance on it, and you need to have the actual snowmobile licensed as well.
Right.
So you need to have all that stuff, and we're out there and we're looking for that as well as educating people on proper safety out there. We're looking for documentation with your ATV. You'll need to have ownership and insurance and a plate on it as well.
For an ATV as well?
For an ATV as well, yeah. Anywhere other than your own property, it has to have insurance when you're operating it.
It only makes sense. I mean, I guess it kind of falls under the same things, the rules of the road, right?
Absolutely.
It's very much the same.
Which brings me to my next point, alcohol consumption.
Yes.
Same rules apply. Same rules apply. So you can be charged with impaired operation on an ATV or a snowmobile out on the lake as easily as you can driving your vehicle down the highway.
Right. Yeah, so don't be consuming while you're out having a good time. Leave that for later.
That's right.
Right. So we touched on snowmobiles out on the lake. What are the rules for other than out on the lake with a snowmobile? On the trails, how does that work?
So there's the Ontario Federation of Snowmobile Clubs, the OFSC trails.
Okay.
entrance onto those trails requires a permit.
And you purchase this from that club?
And you purchase it from that club. So we do have issues with trespassing with snowmobiles and ATVs at times. So you only want to be able to operate where you have permission to do so.
Right.
That permit gives you permission to operate on all the trails, abiding by the speed limits of the trails, which is generally 50 kilometers an hour. Having all the proper documentation, including that permit that I mentioned.
And so you're monitoring those trails as well?
Yes. Yes, so we're proactive all winter.
Yes.
We don't just respond when...
And that's something that we should touch on too, that your roles, as much as you do play a reactive role when needed,
Yes.
It is more about educating, being proactive, just making, giving people the right tools to know.
Absolutely, so that they can be safe out there.
Right.
Yes, so we are proactive out on our ATVs or the snowmobiles out on the lake, depending on what the lake conditions are.
Right.
Interacting with people, ensuring that they have everything that's required by law to be out there. As well, you'll see some people that are operating out there or ice fishing that don't have those things that we mentioned about the flotation, the ice picks. Just having a conversation. Sometimes they've never even thought of it before.
Sure.
And then when you start talking about it and they realize the risk to not having it, a lot of them will...
Well, up until recent conversations with yourself and some of your members, I know a lot of people weren't aware that there was such a thing as a flotation device that's built into a jacket.
Yes.
What a great device. It actually makes sense.
It makes great sense. Right? And they've come down in pricing quite a bit, yes.
That's even better. They're more affordable for those that need them. Right?
Yes.
When we were talking about the snowmobiles and ATVs, a bit of clarification, because snowmobiles are allowed on the trails.
Snowmobiles are allowed on the trails.
ATVs have a few more restrictions.
Yes. So there's no trails in our area where ATVs are permitted. So pretty much ATVs are permitted for operation out on the lake, not on the roadways leading up to the lake.
So you have to get them to the lake.
You have to get them to the lake.
Get them in a trailer on the back of a truck.
On the back of a truck and get them onto the lake. Yes.
But they are allowed on the lake.
They are allowed on the lake.
Yes.
If they meet all the requirements.
Right. Not allowed on the snowmobile trails.
Not allowed on the snowmobile trails. That's right.
Okay. So I know that was a point of clarification last year. We had some calls on it. Where can we ride our ATVs in York Region?
Yes. Oh.
Now, is that specific to Georgina or is that all the region? I guess every township has their own.
In northern parts of Ontario, they're allowed to be operated on the roadside in various parts of towns.
Okay.
Unless there is a bylaw enacted that prevents them from doing so. Down in our area, the rule of thumb is that they're not permitted unless some type of bylaw in whatever township or region allows them to do so. So I can't speak from region to region, but within ours, there's no area other than private property or an area like a lake.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the simple rule is lake or private property?
Yes.
Period for ATVs.
Absolutely.
Right. But the snowmobiles, they're allowed on roadways to some degree?
To some degree, yes. They, again, a bylaw can be enacted to prevent them within certain areas of a town. Okay. But on the side of a roadway, crossing a roadway leading to another trail, or if a trail takes you right to the lake, it's a little more expansive where a snowmobile can be operated.
Okay, I just want to go back to the trails piece a little bit. You're talking about the Trail Association. They don't actually own these trails.
No. It is private property that the OFSC has gained permission to have the trail running through.
Okay, so they've approached individual landowners.
Yes.
Said, we'd like to be able to put our trail through your property. With your consent, they do so?
That's right. Which is why it's key to operate in a safe and respectable manner. Because if people are tearing through those trails, they're operating with illegal pipes, very loud, and it gets to the point where maybe that landowner decides, I no longer want to grant that permission, and that's how we lose trails. Yeah,
and I guess that sums it up. Just simply be respectful.
That's right.
You are on somebody's private property. Right? So the Trail Association is maintaining it. It's on private property. You're allowed to use it because you've obtained a permit.
That's correct.
Right? But use it, use it in a safe and respectful manner.
And it's a family sport as well. You don't need to be out speeding and hot dogging through the trails.
No.
where you're crossing over to the other side of the trail on a turn and potentially causing a collision.
Right.
Unfortunately, that happens at times too. So.
Yeah, and I guess we have to, as much as it's private property, you got to be respectful. You said there is rules on the trails as well. There's got to be speed limits, right? We've got to be mindful of those.
That's right.
And keep everybody safe on the trails. Winter sports are great sports. We all just have to be safe in doing them, right?
That's right. Just be aware of the risks and act accordingly.
Zach, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thanks, Don.
Always great information. Always good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Folks, that wraps up this episode of Policing York Region. For more information on the show, rogerstv.com. For more information on York Regional Police, yrp.ca. It's been great having you, and I look forward to seeing you again.